I guess the next thing is the just the news in general. Well,
Michael Masi is gone.
oh, finally, actually, finally, it's been so long.
Yeah, you have to go.
It's actually been so. I'm surprised they didn't even say why.
Yeah.
They just mentioned that he's going and he's not even fully gone.
He's gonna be. See, I don't mind him being in the FIA as long as he's not related to the races. Obviously, because you're a Lewis fan. But
yeah,
Lewis
but
can't
like
drive, bro. Lewis can't drive, man.
Bro, but he's not a safer.
Lewis
like
is a
nothing he
driver.
did was good, realistically.
Lewis is a terrible driver.
He sent out cars under green flag racing when there were marshals on the track.
You know, Lewis is just like.
Here we go. All right, go ahead.
Like Lewis is a B-Tech, you know, Nikita Mazepin. Okay, that's too extreme. He's a B-Tech Mika Hakkinen.
Where did that come from?
He's a B-Tech Ayrton Senna. He is. You can't even debate that. He is. Anyways. But he had to go. But see, this is what I mean. The people they got in was, one of them was the second in command kind of to Charlie.
Yeah, that's the one they kept mentioning. Like,
yeah.
Oh, Charlie Whiting always had like another guy.
And
Michael Masi, poor Michael Masi was there by himself.
Yeah, and the other guy was, he did some stewarding for, was it rallying before?
Yeah, I think I heard WEC as well.
Yeah, so this is the thing where, like, the difference between them and Michael Masi is they have, like, one of them was the second in command to Charlie, so he's been involved in F1 for a long time, and the other one, he's done stewarding before, he's done it for, Michael Masi, he'd never done it in his life. Whoever chose Michael Masi, I feel bad for the guy. Whoever chose him and put him in that position had no clue what they were doing. They took one guy and they're like, yeah, he'll do. And then threw him in that position. And
that's definitely what it looked like, to be honest.
Like, if you'd done it for the rest of the season, then change him for 2022 or 2021 at the time. Be like, fair enough, you just finished the season. The season's done. We have to look for someone over the break. They didn't do that, and now we're just like.
Masi was the interim manager that stayed.
Yeah, basically, he was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But Ole did much better job too.
Questionable. Actually, yeah, at the end of the day. But
he did not give away a championship.
The reputation of both of them is meant to be good as well. So like, these are the kind of guys, as we were saying before, they command their role, they have respect, they won't be intimidated, and
there's a third guy as well involved. I don't remember who it is.
I don't know. I know they're bringing in that VAR thing that he was on about. I
think that guy
is gonna work, but
yeah, but there's another guy. I don't remember why he's involved, but there's a third guy who is doing something. I don't remember what he's doing, but there's a third
it's
guy.
the FIA. Either way, whatever happens.
But I agree with you. They seem to have a good. I think he does have a good reputation. Both of them have a good reputation in that sense. Michael Masi is very easy to bully. I think. It's very easy to see that as well because we could hear everything. And
yeah,
so, like,
yeah.
You know, I think especially with what Red Bull is kind of. What's him? He spoke to Michael.
Wheatley.
Yeah, when he told Michael, sent you what to do, and Michael was like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna do that."
The worst part is the phrase, like the motor racing phrase, where he repeated the exact same thing. That's so embarrassing. Like,
yeah.
that's the worst part of it.
I think that was kind of the point where it was the point of no return, essentially.
Yeah, he should have been dropped so fast. But the biggest thing is like the stewards as well. Like, why aren't they being questioned as well? Because if we're realistically admitting now, everyone's kind of accepted that what happened was wrong. Even if they don't want to say it, they say that changes need to be made in the FIA. Which means now, instead of, arguing that it was right, it's basically like commonly accepted, way more than it was before, that what happened was a complete manipulation of everything. So if we're admitting that now, why aren't we saying, like, look at the stewards, these guys, right after the race, had the opportunity to reverse the decision and they didn't?
I think at that point, like, even if you had the chance to reverse it, I think it would have reflected way worse on the sport. Then the controversy is bad. If they had reversed it after the race, I think Red Bull would have had a lot of issues. People would have said a lot of bad stuff. The fans would have gone crazy. Mercedes would have been upset. Like,
all of that happened anyway.
Yeah, but I think it would have been way worse. The aftermath would have been kind of brutal in the sense
I
of
don't know, but at the very
people-
least, they would have had more integrity than they do now.
no really. I would have said like I'd say like you'd have gone like Lewis would have gone a lot of racism.
You got that anyway.
Yeah, but I would just say it would have been like if he had won it that way,
Yeah, no.
it would
yeah.
have been another level. Do you get what I mean? It would have
Yeah,
been
no,
horrible.
I get it.
But
But almost, just in the sense that correcting the mistake.
yeah,
Like,
just
just
because
from
you're
that
a
angle.
Lewis fan, that's fine. I do get like everyone's admitting now. Like Carlos Sainz came out, Lance Stroll came out,
Lance Stroll's
Martin
been very
Brundle
vocal,
came
yeah.
out.
Johnny
George
Herbert's been
Russell
chatting as well.
spoke at the beginning because he's driving for a Mercedes, so he has to speak out. But
He has been.
people who are not involved at all have spoken out that Lewis should have won that. After a period of kind of like let's reflect and come back, they've reflected, came back, and they said like Lewis, like Carlos Sainz, in no way is he involved. Like you could say Lance Stroll has a Mercedes engine, so. But Carlos, in
That's
no
correct.
way is he benefiting at all, or is he obliged to say anything. And
Yeah.
he came out and he said that this was like wrong, essentially. I think it's interesting to see Max's reaction versus Lewis. Max is like, "Oh, Michael did everything. He doesn't
Oh,
deserve
it's
this."
so-
It's cringe, isn't it?
It is embarrassing because the thing is, like, Red Bull, realistically, could very easily admit, okay, we benefited a lot from a decision that was made that was questionable. Like, even if you don't want to completely say that it was wrong, like, the way I just worded it there, I haven't said that what he did was against the rules or wrong or whatever, but you acknowledge that it happened, and then you take the championship anyway. And people would have probably
I
respected
think
a
they'll
lot
do
more
that in
for
like 10 years.
Yeah.
Where he's like fully 100% sure they're not going to take it back from him.
Yeah, like 106-year-old Christian Horner on the grid walk is there, and Martin Brundle sees him and goes like, "Oh, Christian, how you feeling?" He's like, "Yeah, no, I feel great. Oh, by the way, Michael Masi broke the rules in 2020."
That's basically what it's going to be like. I don't think, they might admit it like by the time Max comes to retire or something, they'll be like, "Yeah, we should not have had that."
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't see them
Makes
doing that
sense.
now because there'll be repercussions essentially. Repercussions of.
Where it would make it even more embarrassing with his like golden helmet and boots and number
Yeah.
one car and all of this stuff.
Exactly. But
It's already a little bit.
I think
Slightly
Lewis also
embarrassing.
commented on, before Michael Masi had gone, he commented about how some of the stewards or something like basically, I think he was commenting on Masi. He was like, does Masi fly around with people from Red Bull?
Oh, I heard it. No, yeah. So what he said was like there's still
You know
no
what I'm talking
problems
about.
because he's saying the stewards are very friendly with some of the drivers and some of the teams. So, you know, if
They
you
even
become
fly with them essentially to
yeah,
races.
so like you can become a little friendly with some of them. You can be mates with some more than others, and if they have preferences in terms of drivers, that's definitely going to cloud the
Yeah, be like,
decisions, which is
he's my mate, I'm just gonna let it slide.
exactly, which is
It's
completely
not a 10
right.
second penalty, it's not a 10-second penalty. We'll just give him 2 points on his license, that's it.
It's like,
We'll give him a
€5,000 fine.
We'll give him a
yeah,
warning.
black
We
and
won't,
white
even,
flag.
we won't even give him points like on his license, we'll just give him a warning.
Because the problem, I'm sure, is way worse than he's willing to admit. Because
Yeah.
I'm sure Lewis doesn't want to cause like a big thing, because everyone's just going to hop on him. Even though he's right, they're going to do it anyway. But like, the fact that it's F1's what it is, with all of these rich people who are friends and they know each other and they have connections, well, like, since it's such a close community at the top, like, it's just not surprising what he's saying.
Yeah.
So,
But I feel like it's, like, I guess it is happening probably because the F1 fan base is quite small. Like, in essence, I think if there are as many fans as, like, in F1 as we have, say, in football, this would not necessarily be as big of an issue, maybe, because the backlash would be way worse. Do you get what I mean?
right, yeah.
But then with football, you also had that one guy that was screwing FIFA for like 16 years or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Sepp Blatter or whatever
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
called.
yeah.
So you can't really say that.
You can't avoid it anywhere, but
Yeah,
like,
but I'd say like, see, I don't have an issue with kind of the people managing F1 being terrible. My issue is
Yeah.
more with the kind of refereeing, because if a referee is on a football pitch and like the ball goes into one goal and then you just like, nah, it's a goal for the other team, people are gonna get like people are gonna go crazy.
Yeah,
Bro,
that's worse than if the camera.
but that's
works a
exactly
little
what
dodgy.
happened with Lewis. Is Lewis should have won, but they essentially, the referee just stopped the game, gave the ball to the strikers, like yes, score, and he's like, hey, goal. But that's what Michael Masi did. He literally took the
Yeah,
ball from Mercedes, gave it to Red Bull in front of the Mercedes, was like yes, score. He scored. He's like, okay, yeah, you won the championship.
It's a very good analogy. You're not even wrong.
That's exactly what
how
he
it
did.
happened, yeah.
I think people don't realize the kind of exactly what he did, because he. I know how I said, like, when we were looking at the race afterwards, I was like, it was within his right. He had control of the safety car and stuff.
15.3 and stuff. Yeah.
But that's the thing, like, when you listen, I think when you listen to the Red Bull guy, I think that changes everything, realistically speaking.
Okay.
Because he listened to the Red Bull guy, and he went and said the exact same thing to Toto, and you're like, do you get what I mean? It's just like, even like trying, like if you're trying to hide it, they'll be like, you're saying the same thing, man. Like, that annoys me so much, because I feel like I hate kind of, if Lewis had lost it on track, I'd be like, yeah, fair enough. But the way he did it as well is Lewis didn't even have a chance to fight. Like, if Lewis had pitted for fresh tires, came out in front of Max, and it was one lap or of all-out racing between the both of them.
Yeah.
On fresh rubber, both of them. Like, so, say even if Lewis is on a fresh pair of mediums and Max is on a fresh pair of softs, Lewis would have had something to it,
Yeah, it's still completely unfair, but there's
But Max had fresh soft tires, and Lewis had old mediums. There's not even like, bro, if I'm in a Ferrari and you're on a Haas, you're gonna overtake me. Like, it's not even a question. Like,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
over. The moment he told the cars to get out of the way, see, he broke the fact that all the cars had to go through. He only pushed the cars between them. He broke the fact that the cars had to be a safe distance away. He broke every single rule you have to follow, and then he's like, nah, it's fine.
So it's like people are. There's a lot of stuff still going on about it. Like one guy recently, I saw this video. He analyzed, I think it was from 2012, every single deployment of the safety car from 2012 up until the last race in Abu Dhabi. And it's interesting to see all the stuff that changed very quickly. So initially, when people were saying, should have red flagged it, Johnny Herbert's spoken a lot about this, and he's saying, well, what, so every time there's a safety car 5 laps away from the end, we just bring out a red flag? Like, that's not practical. And then another thing was, why didn't he just leave the lapped cars there? I kind of understood where that, like, argument was coming from to keep the race going and all of this stuff and whatever, and it's cool. But when the guy analysed the thing, and I did have a feeling in the back of my mind, that's not in the regulations either. Like, you are meant to let the lapped cars overtake, and every single time, I think, other than 2, where someone's radio wasn't working, and another weird situation which was a bit strange, but no one really mentioned it, the lapped cars have been allowed to overtake. It's not like the race director just says, no, we'll leave the lapped cars this time, let's carry on. Like, he lets them go every time. And then on top of that, there's a lot of talk about race involved in terms of Lewis, because obviously, as I mentioned before, and like you're saying now, if Max is winning that race, the moment you green flag it and you break the rules and you bring in the safety car, Max has won the championship.
So and it's not going to get overturned as well.
Exactly. So if you know that with confidence and you're making the champion, you're not just choosing the champion, you're breaking the rules to make a champion. There's argument there as to...
I think the way...
it's consistent with what Lewis has dealt with in F1 for his entire career.
But I don't think it's been this obvious before. I don't think in F1 we've had a time where it was so obvious of them just kind of saying, we don't want this guy to win because he's won too much. Let's just go give it to another guy. I understand the idea of pushing the regulations to slow the best car. That happened with Ferrari, that happened with Mercedes. Fair enough, you want to bring them closer in. Okay, I understand that.
Makes sense.
I'd say rather than do that, get the other cars to kind of like limit, say the research time
like
of
the
team at the
budget
front.
and stuff.
And then push the other cars up. That makes more sense than just the way they did it was very stupid in terms of they they essentially just cut parts of the floor and screwed the teams with low rate cars, which you didn't just slow down the front car, you screwed like Aston Martin essentially on other teams. So I don't agree with the way they did it, but I understand what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
But the way they did it in terms of they just took the win and handed it to someone else. Essentially, the way I see it is you took the ball from one team, gave it to the striker of the team in front of goal, empty goal, you're like, score. He scored. Obviously, he's gonna do it. Obviously, Max is gonna win.
Yeah.
The way they did it was just so shameless that I wanted Max to win, but the way they did it was just like, it was disgusting. But I have to say, like, I do respect Lewis for the way he acted after the race. I think if Max had lost that race, even if Lewis...
Oh my god, the scene he would have made.
Yeah. And the same with Christian Horner and stuff. I think that's one thing that for Lewis and his dad, I think even Carlos commented on it's very impressive the way he conducted himself after, and his father after the race, going shaking Max's hand, going saying to Jos Verstappen and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think he did not need to do like go to them, or what's his name, didn't need to go to them and all of that. I don't know what his dad's name is.
Oh,
Is it
that?
Lloyd? Lloyd?
What's his dad's name? No, it's definitely not.
Yes, I
I
think.
can't remember what his name is.
Yes.
Is it Carl? No, that's one of his middle names. Hold on.
Anyway, so
Anthony, that's what it was. Yeah, cool.
yeah, so very impressive in the way they conducted himself. Especially like when you lose that way, no one is gonna conduct.
It's horrific. No, actually, part of the conversation as well. So what you said about Max, he wouldn't have taken it well. I compared the tweets they put afterwards between Lewis at Silverstone and then Max at Monza,
Italy, yeah.
and then the other way around. So like both times when they were, deemed to be at fault, and then when they were deemed to be the victim. It's so bad. Like, it's so unprofessional. It's actually embarrassing. So like, I can't imagine what he would have said afterwards.
This is the reason I hate Red Bull, because the way they act when, like, I think the way they acted after Silverstone for me was, Lewis did not do as like such a bad thing for Christian Horner to come and say what he said.
Yeah.
And the way he said it and what he said and the way they, got Albon to do like, the laps and the media circus that went on after that was so disgusting that when you look at Monza, Mercedes spoke about it and then they moved on. And this is why Mercedes have won 7 back-to-back titles and Red Bull have come nowhere close in the past few years, is because they were too busy. Like, the moment that something happens, they just blame everyone instead of focusing on trying to win. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
They're just too busy, like, doing all of this stuff than trying to win. And that's why they couldn't even win the Like, Red Bull had the better car for pretty much the whole year except from Brazil onwards. They could have won the championship, the constructors.
Oh yeah, they definitely
easily.
the constructors.
And they threw it away because they don't have that winning mentality. You could argue Max has it, but that team does not have it anymore.
Yeah, I think they were focusing too much on. If they supported Perez more, they could have
won
had
both.
it easily.
Yeah.
It's disappointing, man. It's just annoying. It just ruins everything. I'm still a bit off on F1. Like, I'm still like.
You kind of I want to watch F1, but I don't really want to watch.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I know I will and I want to, and it's great, but it's just not the same anymore. Like,
Yeah. I think that's for a lot of people. I think that's why, like, the new president's coming in, and I'm interested to see the way they conduct themselves, because I think with what happened, I think they'll probably be very harsh or very kind of strict in the way they apply the rules, in terms of, in terms of red flags. The last year had the most red flags in like recent memory.
Oh yeah, they had like.
The amount of red flags is like more than the past few years combined. Yeah, it's just everything that happened, just red flag erase, red flag erase, red flag erase. Bro, it doesn't need a red flag, just safety car.
I don't even know. Oh, and then the other thing actually that's just come back to me, Lewis and how he acted after the race. It's very interesting. Some people I saw were saying, and I completely agree with this. Credit him for acting like that, sure, and I get that. But the thing is, he didn't have a choice. Like, he had to act that way. A lot of other people, they could have done something and they could have been aggressive and they could have been angry. And sure, they would have been criticised for it. But if Lewis did that, like, it would have been on a different level. Like, the thing is, you credit him for doing it, but he was almost cornered in a way to do that.
But
Like,
I think
I've seen the memes and stuff,
yeah.
and I've seen the stuff, and obviously he's called a crybaby like all the time. But like, if you go back and read that tweet that Max put out after Silverstone, like, one of them is acting like a 4-year-old, and it's definitely not Lewis. Like,
yeah. But I do say, like, if he hadn't shook Max's hand, if he went, sat down, never spoke to him, and just kind of raged on his own, no one would have blamed him.
No. He would have got all sorts.
No.
Honestly,
like,
he would have got all sorts.
I see him, like, if he'd gone and, like, slapped Max, he'd
No,
get, like,
even then,
also.
even if he just went off quietly, like, even during his period of, silence and stuff, he's called an attention seeker, drama queen, blah, blah, blah.
But see, that's, like, the media and stuff are always gonna do that. Like, it doesn't matter. I think it's kind of like he's a victim of his own success in a sense, because he's achieved so much that he'll always kind of be, the attention will be on him and people will always be criticizing him.
Yeah,
I think the difference now between him and Michael is Michael didn't have social media back then, so it was a bit different.
No, yeah, I get people definitely hated Michael during his winning.
Oh
Well, at
yeah,
least some
and
people.
Sebastian. You saw it. I think with Sebastian,
Yeah,
you saw it so much.
Vettel, that was there. as
Vettel
well,
got it so much in terms of like, they used to stand at the podium and boo him.
Yeah, no, I remember that.
So Lewis didn't get that. Like Lewis was not that bad in the sense people would not
Most
stand
of
at
the
the
time,
podium
yeah.
and boo him that badly. And so I think it's part of like they are a victim of their own success in that sense. And I think Lewis especially because he won. If Lewis had won it over, like say 1-2, took 2 years off, 1-2, took 2 years off, 1-2, 2 years off, and then 1-1, no one would say anything. But because they dominated, just like Seb did, just like Michael did for like a period of time where they gathered most of their championship, people just naturally.
Yeah, they hate when it gets boring in terms of same winner every year, but there's definitely like a different angle to when Lewis gets it.
Perhaps. I think maybe part of it is obviously racism, that part of it. Especially in a sport like Formula One where basically it's such an elitist sport.
Yeah.
So I think it's natural in that sense. Like not natural, but
No,
like
yeah, no, I know what
it's
you're saying.
regularly occurring in that sense. And I don't see it like how, but I think, I'm not sure what else to say.
Yeah, I don't really know where you go from there, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I think if he raged and stuff, people would speak about it and people would move him. I think his silence on social media was the best course of action. Because
it was, and
even if you get like that one or two people who are speaking about it and saying like, this and this and this, you'll always get that one or two people like attention seeking, or like piggybacking on Lewis to attention seeking. But realistically, most people weren't saying anything.
I don't know, to be fair.
Between the race and today, all I read from kind of traditional media and like most people was respect for the way he acted afterwards. You obviously get that one or two like hate comments, but I did not see as many.
I saw a lot of chat about him like all the time
On Twitter.
No, even through the media outlets, just talking about continued silence, all of this. Basically, any story they had to do with F1, they would lead it with Lewis Hamilton still quiet.
But that's the thing,
and
like,
then
when you
add
look-
on like a little bit extra about something else.
When you look at like the what they call like those like gossip essentially, they're all gossip magazines and stuff. They're the ones who do all of this stuff. But like literally, I was reading one article like today or yesterday. I don't remember. I think it was related to football or something. And it was related to Liverpool winning the
Carabao
Cup.
Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they copied that same article, pasted it, and just added like 2 sentences and put an extra catchy title. But it's the exact same article. And I literally went through it just to check. It's the same thing. So this is what they do. They just put like 4 or 5 I don't know if they do like put a few articles every few days about the same thing. Put a new catchy title. Don't add anything of substance. Just copy paste it, reword it. It's just to gain attention and traffic. That's their way of doing it. And people won't get interested if they're talking about how great Lewis is. Or if they're talking about, Lewis is a terrible guy, he's attention. People will come. It's only natural, you know what I mean?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well,
unfortunately.
I guess what we've learned today is F1 needs, well, everywhere needs better journalists. So if F1 want to send us free tickets, we'd be happy to send our honest feedback and reviews of everything other than Saudi Arabia. Other than Abu Dhabi and Spa, we will say that it was completely justified, incredible decisions, and you did a great job.
Spa was disgusting.
No, it was perfect. They should have done that. They did the perfect job, and no one deserves refunds. See, look, I'm gonna get a job now. Catch me in Will Buxton. Netflix.
And I'm gonna be red flag, like black flag from their content for the future, basically.
Yeah, you're not allowed. No, that's it. You're getting blocked at the entrance. Catch me in the grandstands at some point next year. Don't ask me where Yusuf is. He was blocked at the gate. That's been podcast 16. We'll be back next week with something else.
Hopefully.
All right.
Yes. Thank you guys for listening. See you next week.